Today, resilience is a word which has been widely used, especially after COVID. Your ability to bounce back when something goes wrong. And quality, safety, security play a major role in bouncing back any system. Let it be human beings, let it be the systems what we design. Now we also look at how these things are connected, because sometimes many people uh, misuse these words. In place of another one, they use it, and without even understanding what is quality, what is safety, what is security. Actually, it's different, in fact, right? And we also probably need to look at how this is playing out in multiple industries. And for that, it's good to hear from the right people. Today we have four panelists, each one doing different thing. In fact, starting from, I'll take it from Tanmay is more of a hardware, yeah, security guy, I can say, in general, products security. That's what he specializes. And it has got application cut across all the domains. And we have Sambhaji, who is into ADAS and autonomous systems, which is a happening space today in the automotive industry. And Srikanth is more into new product development. That's his forte, identify new products, what needs to be done. And we do have Dipak, who comes with a very unique background. He started with the aerospace domain early part of his career and moved towards industrial and connected system, right? And we will see, how these domains evolved and how they're connected and how that is feeding each other also. And that is a very interesting game happening. For example, personally, I started my career early days. The embedded systems were there only in the aerospace and defense nuclear industry, nowhere else, except some private companies like Bangalore, we had Motorola and TI. That's it. But today, if you look at the domain evolved 30 years back, if you ask me, another interesting observation, 99% of the processors used to go to PC world 30 years back. That's the time probably some of us started our career or studies or engineering studies. And today, surprisingly, 99% of the processors go to non-PC world. So that defines where we are, where the action is happening. And people who told embedded systems will not come up, they probably might be regretting now. This is the area where the real action is right now happening. So with this, let me first turn towards Srikanth. Srikanth's background, all of you know that, he is responsible for developing new products. So Srikanth, I want to hear from you on the importance of these guidelines, the concepts of safety, security, how it plays when it comes to new product development.
Definitely. So, thank you, Shinto. Hope you are hearing me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Very good afternoon. Good afternoon, Shinto panel members and everybody. So, I'm really excited to be part of this because I feel this is very focused panel where I'm going to discuss about the resilience of embedded systems. How I am relevant, first of all, for this topic, maybe I'll just try to build that credentials first. I've been in this automotive industry like for past 25 years, and especially in embedded system. When you were mentioning that 30 years before, so I was recollecting my 25 years before, where I started my embedded system career. So that is the time where even we don't believe compilers. Okay, so when I compile a code, we don't believe the compiled code. So we have been used to write softwares in assembly. So the lakhs and lakhs of lines of code in assembly, and that is what we believe. We being 25 years Purana type. And that time there was a huge question that whether people really use compilers for automotive applications, because we were looking at the safety as one of the key aspect, because I was working for anti-lock braking system software, and safety is very much key there. So we were totally against getting the compilers into our development system. So now it has changed now. So now it is also running in Linux, so by the way. So I'm just thinking about it and how it is getting evolved in terms of embedded system. Now coming to the current activity on the new product development, there are two things into it. So one is the currently the new product development, and looking at the engineering side of it. How do we develop the products for automotive? And second is that how do we bring the advanced technology into the automotive product. So I am working into two areas. Okay. So so giving the thoughts about the advanced technology, maybe I'll just take 1 minute more in terms of bringing the contextualization. So I look at predominantly what is the market trend happening, because at the end of the day, we are developing products to the sales, right? So how the market trend is happening, because at the end of the day, the market trend is boiled down to the, the like an automotive trend, and from automotive trend to the product trend to the technology trend. So this is the way it comes, right? So I always look at how the market is going and takes a clue from there, and then look at how these trends coming down to the the technology trend, so that the product trend and technology trend can be a roadmap. So now look at couple of areas on this market trend. So coming to the very mega trends, we call it as a mega trend. Let's say the demographic shift, how the demographic shift happening and how relevant this is connected to the demographic shift. I will talk about it. And the rapid urbanization is happening, and the remote urbanization is happening, and especially after COVID, I think a lot of hybrid workplaces are happening, and things become, the better and quicker urbanization happening on the remote places. And then everywhere you will hear zero. The innovating to zero is becoming a new mantra. The zero carbon, zero defects. It's everything innovating towards zero. So we are towards getting into a perfect solution. Then there are a lot of technology disruption. So one technology disruption which everybody know is AI everywhere. But other than AI, there are a lot of technology disruptions. I will give some context to it also while I'm discussing. And also the sustainability. Sustainability is another big keyword. The entire automotive is since a part of an energy. So this becomes a direct implication on an automotive. So these are all the major, the mega trend, and how I connect those mega trends to the product and the technology is what the process what I follow. Okay. In this, there are, the
Maybe
push.
we will revisit that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just I will end with only one.
Yeah, please.
So in this context, there is two things which actually build that. One is the pushing strategy and the pulling strategy. Pushing is basically, one who wants it, that is the end consumer. And that end consumer, as I mentioned, there is a shift in the, the demography, like, the Gen Alphas getting into as a new domain. So, and then the second is the technologies, whatever we are going to talk about. So these are all the push and the pull strategies, how connects everything to the mega trends, and how these products make more relevant in terms of the development. And while developing, how do we build this resilience is all about. So this is what I'm going to talk about in the next
Good.
question.
So I think he made a point that the importance of customer. And last year, I don't know how many of you have seen in India, buying behavior study, safety first time came as the first buying criteria.
Yeah.
So that defines the market. We have a couple of our customers who are sitting here who have benefited immensely out of that market shift. So I have another question, very specific. You are active in the skilling space. Whenever we discuss this part. Automotive industry, particularly, has undergone especially the software-defined vehicle, has
Right.
brought in a lot of challenges, opportunities. But the biggest challenge I've seen, the skill gap.
Right.
What do you think we should do to fix it? And exactly what you're doing in your company also. You can share your secret, others.
Okay. So fundamentally, as I mentioned to you, there are two aspects to it. One, the skill required for immediate needs, and the skill required for the future needs. Since we understand there is a gap of, the skill development or gap of skills available for today's requirement versus handling, the gap for the tomorrow. So there are two different strategies has been adapted. Maybe I will talk about one which I'm using for the advanced technology side. So for the advanced technology side, I mapped almost like 20-25 skills required for the new technology which I am going to work on. And for those new technologies, now looking at the areas, let's say optics, okay? There are a lot of things going on optics and those materials area and things like that. So how do we utilize, the core engineering and connecting to being a bridge and connecting to right from the educational institutions to the startups to the the industry. Okay, so that's the one point which I'm trying to do. This is one area. And so the main point here is that identify well ahead and develop the same. Okay. Now coming to SDV, as you were specifically asking about, and even in the SDVs also, there are skills required who can understand right from embedded to the cloud, because embedded is no more assembly language. It is more of getting into the cloud related APIs. So identified that and trying to discuss with relevant people and connecting with our engineers to specifically identify and then creating a kind of continuous interaction method. As of now, it is more of a continuous interaction method, which we are currently doing.
Okay,
Okay, it's more
good.
of an interaction and learning. That's the only kind.
Fine. So I think we have we'll move to the next speaker who comes with his core expertise is ADAS, autonomous vehicles, which I believe at least ADAS is the need of the hour. And autonomous vehicles, I wish to see in India with the new highways, new cities. At some point of time, we would like to see that. So I wanted your views on what's happening in that space, particularly from safety, security. When you add all these things, the biggest challenge is who is in control of your car. It's the driver or somebody else.
Yeah, hello everyone. Uh, Actually, this as we are, the proceeding towards the technology advancement. So, learning electronics and the nothing is else other than electronics in the advanced systems. Okay, than the software and hardwares and those things. That's what my view actually. So after seeing my profile, people call me as a jack of all and master in none. Okay, but it can be reverse. Okay, if you have a knowledge of electronics, then you can contribute into all the fields actually. And as Singo is asking that the advanced technologies of the ADAS and AD. Okay, and the autonomous parking also. Okay, so up to autonomous parking and up to some level of AD, it's a preferred one. Okay, if you go for the we have achieved the level 4 and level 3 also, and level 5 in ADs. Okay, but does it really require? In my view, it doesn't require. Okay, because everyone is fond of driving their uh, the luxurious cars and all this, having the facilities of controlling auto braking and auto finding the ways and those things and stopping itself. Okay, so these are the things actually sufficient for the AD level. But auto parking is again comes that yeah, it is a part of again automotive driving actually. When you come to the premises gate of your office and you have to get down without driver. See, in all the advanced countries actually they are not having the drivers to drive their vehicles afterwards, dropping the boss and those things. Okay, but so this is they really required autonomous parking. So car has to find its the empty space where it has to park itself. Okay, so for that actually in India or anywhere, infrastructure is required. That infrastructure is plus the thing which is required for your auto parking. Okay, and for general driving and those things, there are road infrastructure is also required. Okay, so this kind of requirement is uh, always there. Okay, and the Indian philosophy or Asian philosophy, I will say that as the road conditions and infrastructure is not at all there. Okay, so what we require actually up to level of the parking in the premises only. Okay, it could be a wallet parking or anything. It has to understand by its connectivity. And now the connectivity means that there is a lot of you are open, your system is open to the world. Okay, and there are multiple or minded peoples are there in the world, which are sitting for some other kind of doing the the wrong kind of things with your system. So for that actually the vulnerability of the the getting hacked by the hackers increases actually. So so for that one we have to think of, the putting the check and how to control those things. Okay, that is my view actually. And coming to the ADAS, actually ADAS is always required for the automotive, because it has to connect with all engine sensors, passenger sensors, ambient, and the surround views and environment also, road conditions and those things that is required. Yes, Ingo.
Good, thank you. I mean, probably if you ask me about autonomous driving, my dream is, or probably the youngsters, I fall under that category, where we believe car is more about experience, right? So for a long drive, putting a beer, car taking us on autonomous mode, it's a different experience, I call it. So I hope we'll have a fully autonomous thing. It's my dream,
Yeah,
So
that's correct, Singo. The young champs, they require actually, it's nothing but enthusiast actually.
but currently, I'm not able to do that
Yeah.
because I advise everybody about safety. So I should refrain from doing that. So I'm looking for that day, when I can pass the liability to somebody else, who has given me the autonomous driving system.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have one specific question to you. Actually, many companies are developing products in this space. At Oasis, what type of products you guys are developing in this space? If you could tell us.
Yeah, basically for ADAS, the IVI is more important. IVI is nothing but the in-vehicle infotainment we do, and that is the gateway, I can say, for the car, which has to connect with the surround world and those things. Okay, in that case, the IVI equipment has to be taken care of. The basic, as Srikanth has pointed, that it has to be taken from a basic, the hardware to the software and firmware implementation in a that way only, thinking of that way. Okay. Okay, so that is required for the the IVI, or the equipment which connects the world around it. Okay, and rest of the things actually, these CAN bus is again a passive kind of things which is never connected to the world, but it can be hacked through the, or it can be accessed through the the such kind of hacking and those things. Okay, but now as we are advancing towards the Ethernet, okay, so Ethernet, automotive Ethernet I am talking, so that gives us little bit more relaxation and more kind of the coding and putting the algorithms into it, so that can be less hacked by the hackers and those things. Okay, so these are the the products basically
You guys are currently
yeah.
working on. Good.
Yeah.
So I'll turn towards Deepak. As I told you, he comes with a very unique background. I want to hear from him, how this transition of aerospace industry, because aerospace industry, if you ask me, I am from day one, I am with that community. This is a sector which came with, I call it, all the main standards in safety domain started with aero, and of late other domains started adopting it. I want to hear from Deepak how this transition from aero, right now he's more into industrial connected world, how you see the transition playing.
Yeah, Shinto, actually, I'm fortunate. I started my career with Bharat Electronics, then I was with DRDO for some time, and then slowly and steadily I transitioned myself into service industries. I was working with Capgemini, iGate, Patni Computers, Cognizant, and currently I'm now with Cyient. So earlier, if you all see, when the moment we say safety security or information security or CIA concept, probably aerospace and defense, these are the customers who are basically focusing more on those aspects. But now the things are not like that. Honestly speaking, safety security, these are the keywords not only associated with just aerospace and defense. Of course, with aerospace and defense, safety and security are the prime important aspects, and that will continue. But even other industries, let me say about mining or industrial automation, automotive, or maybe telecom or retail, right? All those sectors are slowly and steadily, they also knows about everything, information security, how it is important. See, the aspect is like this. Earlier, most of the systems were on-premises systems, right? Now we are moving, we are basically hosting many of the systems on the cloud side. And there that information security as well as safety and security of those systems plays more important role. So it is not basically the domain, but the transition from technology also plays a bigger role. That's what I feel, right? On-premises systems are not vulnerable for an external attack. I'm not saying that they will be foolproof, but the possibility of external attacks are less. But the moment you go to cloud side, the moment you go to the hosted services platform, then external elements can play an influential role. So information security or vulnerability analysis or threat modeling, right? Those things will come predominantly into picture, and then let it be the software service or product from any domain. Let it be aerospace and defense, let it be mining or medical or retail or process automation, whatever be the case, right? There, the safety, security, information security, and the way you are operating the system, right? All those aspects becomes more important. So honestly, to answer your question, it is not basically the domain dependent, but rather it is technology dependent. The way we have transitioned from on-premises system to the cloud-hosted system, right? Even now also, some of the aerospace and defense organizations with whom we are working, specifically Indian defense, to be very honest, they are a bit scared about the going to cloud-based systems or hosting their important software from the cloud. Even many of the MNCs operating into aerospace and defense, specifically Pratt and Whitney or Collins, right? So they are also, what they are doing, they are not basically hosting their important missile control systems or let's say aerospace related systems on the cloud, but rather the smart automation, you can say, or smart manufacturing. So those kind of software they basically hosted onto the cloud side. Why? Still that fear is there that such kind of systems, such kind of softwares are more vulnerable when you are hosting them on the cloud side. Now, so in nutshell, just to answer that question, I think technology transition has also played a bigger role, and it's not just the domain. And CIA concept or safety and security, still these are not the keywords who are going to be associated only with aerospace and defense, but rather with all the domains and all the services and products which will come and used by the external users, not only by the specific stakeholders from that particular industry.
Good. I fully agree with you. Last Friday we saw, an unplanned activity by someone, how it can affect the world. I was talking to my friend. I said, if someone does a planned activity, how it would hit the world, right? So it's scared. And you also spoke about, defense giving more priority to these areas. In fact, quite coincidence, this month 30th, MOD is running a program in Bangalore, an industry outreach program on IT systems subcommittee expansion, involving how to involve private sector into defense standards development. I would say proudly, because credit should go to my colleagues. I was the first private sector nominee pulled into the Government of India new committee where they are forming, where I will be joining DRDOs, scientists and armed forces. The task they gave me is, we need more Shintos. Shinto, please work on this. I said, give me a year time. We will have more private sector people doing this, where they also aware there's such a serious issue for a country like ours, where we have systems imported from almost every parts of the world. Plus, we are trying to develop on indigenous systems, right? Let me turn towards our friend Tanmay, not as the last person, because he's from a domain where it can hit anyone, right? It's like salt in our curry, right? Security is something which is common, like Dipak has already mentioned. It's not just domain specific, it's applicable to everybody. I want Tanmay, you to talk about the concept of embedded systems security, how that is playing out today.
Sure. Thank you, Shinto. Good afternoon, everyone. So normally, if we consider embedded systems as, say, islands of technology with minimal information, which were the, so say 10, 15 years back. So in that case, the priority for embedded software security was very less, because the performance and the actual use case was very important. But since a few years, all the embedded systems are connected to some sort of communication network. So it has been exposed to more threat actors. So then the embedded security becomes very critical, Now we have to differentiate between embedded security and cybersecurity. So cybersecurity morely talk about say network security, active threat management, antivirus, endpoint protection, and all those things. Whereas embedded security, you have to consider say entire development life cycle. So you have to consider hardware security along with application security. Both things should work together. It shouldn't be taken as an isolation for that matter. So we need to consider which devices we are using to store data, what kind of data is being stored, and how it is getting protected. Okay, that's where everything boils down. So if we consider say application security, so most of them say application developer, if you ask about security, they'll immediately say authentication, authorization, validation kind of thing. Okay, at max, some knowledgeable person will consider the use cases of data in transit, data at rest, like database encryption and all those things, or data in use for that matter. And if we refer to all available compliances or best practices, everywhere we can find cryptographic keys which are recommended to be used for data encryption. In what capacity application developer will use those at application layer, that is completely different. Okay, it might be in terms of SSL TLS certificate, it might be envelope encryption, it could be anything. But when we talk about hardware security, there are multiple layers to it. Okay, it will start with secure boot process, key attestation, code attestation for that matter, how trusted codes are there to authenticated. Then how you are detecting physical tampering, what kind of measures you have implemented over there. Then you need to consider how cryptographic keys are stored over there, where these are stored, how access to those keys are throttled, who is going to access, what kind of whitelisting you are doing. So everything comes into picture in that case. You can even consider say trusted execution environment also, where you can have say processor gives you sort of facility to run certain applications in isolation to mitigate certain risks. So if any process gets say compromised, it doesn't get spill over to other processes running in same system. So basically everything is running in isolation. Right now, the use case is not widely accepted. There are say what you can say Apple devices are using that. In certain cases, cloud devices are using it for in some capacity, but everywhere it is not. A majority of use case becomes the cloud providers for that matter. So that's how I feel we need to consider entire embedded security as software plus hardware.
Good. So as I see now, in the interesting part is actually I met his colleague 3 weeks back in a fintech security event where he spoke about defense security, right? So where what I understood is the module what they developed for that has got relevance everywhere, right? End of the day, you're protecting your assets from sometimes even internal threats. That's the beauty. Security is something people think, only external threats. We live in a world where it could be internal also. Can you talk about some of the products, what you guys did recently, if someone doubt they are probably might be interested in what you guys are doing in for their final product.
Sure. So we work on both these aspects. We work in hardware security also, in application security also. So in terms of hardware security, we have a device which is called hardware security module, which is normally used to protect your cryptographic keys. So application is wide range. So all the banks, all the ATM transactions, everywhere you'll require check clearing system, everywhere you'll require a hardware security module. Apart from that, you can pick up any use case of data encryption, and wherever you want to keep encryption keys, hardware security module can play a role. Okay, so from our experience, say for last 8-10 years, whenever we speak with any client who has implemented certain procedures or best practices for application security, they'll tell you that they have implemented data encryption and everything. But the moment you ask them where these keys are stored, they'll say on the file server or in the database in plain text format, nothing else. So that's where we play a role. We can protect those keys. We have created a key management solution also based on this hardware security module, where it gives more flexibility in terms of integration. We can integrate with different storage systems like DDN, Dell storage, NetApp is there. So we can have this native encryption facility which these OEMs provide you, but with a key which is customer managed, which is in control of client. It is not in their control. Similarly, all the cloud providers, they are giving you an encryption facility, But if you solely use their encryption system, everything is in their control. They can, anytime they can cut off your access. So we play a role over there with our on-prem key manager, which is in your control. You means client control. Apart from that, we have tokenization solutions also, which primarily work on PII data. So if we talk to any bank or any enterprise who is collecting a lot of data lake kind of big data projects. So everywhere they are accumulating a lot of demographic data. Okay, and the use case or the primary requirement is to protect that data, not only from the outside threat, but their DBAs also. Okay, DBA is supposed to be an authorized user, but they want to protect this access from DBAs also, so that even if any DBAs try to take a dump from database or storage device through authorized shell, you shouldn't get access to plaintext data without any proper authorization. So that's the layer where we work at. Our application works on, say, entire product line work on the server end. We don't work on the client facing. D2C is not there. We work in enterprise customer. So that's where we work.
Good. See, I look forward more and more Indian companies to come up in this space, because if you ask me, the biggest threat as a country what we are facing is cyber, not anything else. In defense front, which I've been working since my nearly end of third decade, I've seen that 90% of weapon systems today developed in the world is useless. We have seen what is happening in the Ukraine. We just need a new set of systems that can be resilient in today's cyber physical world. Thank you. A big thank to all our panelists. They did a fantastic job.